What's up, heroes? I'm ArisingHero, and welcome back to Project Frontier. Now, everyone, this is a long-awaited video. It's very long-awaited. I am almost, like, 2 months without a Project Frontier video. But I want to apologize for that, guys. Do not forget, the reason why it was like that wasn't because I finished late. I finished early, directly on time. It was school. Okay, guys? It was school. Now, let me go ahead and open up my development log really quickly. And it's not on my computer, it's an actual binder. So if you hear some page flipping, that is why. Okay. So, before we get into the game, I'm kind of just reading off right here in my binder. Some of the stuff that I did and I put a lot of attention into. So the main big things here in the player movement update was completely rescripting the movement, obviously, implied in the name, the animations, very different because I don't think, there were animations if I'm correct before, but they look a lot better now. It's super good, guys. It's super good. That's all I can say. You guys will see it very soon. So I put new movement, brand new animations. Everything has been deleted and reanimated. Everything is through code. That is a big one. That is gigantic. Everything is through code. Nothing, really anything is through logic. And player parenting. That is another big thing. So, for those who do not know what player parenting is the act of me going up to a vehicle and interacting with it, and now I'm parented with it, and now I'm moving with the vehicle physically. That's what parenting is. And how did I get that to work before? I had a gigantic logic list of messages and all that, and it was junk. If you guys look at the vehicle expansion update before this video and just skip and look at the part where I was showing you the parenting and how many messages it was insane. Okay, there were how many vehicles? There were like 12, 13 vehicles in the game, I believe, and that's how many logic lists I had on the player just for that alone, and it's just a mess, guys. It was a mess. Now, all through code, everything is so clean, and you guys will see how amazingly small it is. If I'm correct, it is only 3 logic bricks. I got everything to work with 3. Past that, swimming mechanics. Yes, all swimming has been redone, completely redone. So there's floating physics now. The water now is procedural waves, all using math, no animation. So when I get into the game, you're gonna see the water actually waving like real water. It's great, it looks awesome, and it gives a lot more depth to the world. Okay, past that, the ledge climbing mechanic. Ledge climbing has completely been revamped. Ledge climbing now has 3 states. It has a hang state, and then from there, it's a decision-making state. You can either drop to the ground and cancel your ledge climbing, or you could climb up, and there's an animation for that, and it looks pretty great. Again, it could be a little tweaked, but it looks great. Graphical improvements. Holy crap. You all don't even know. Okay, the game's gonna look ridiculous when I get in, but I disable all the graphics for right now, just for right now. At the end of the video, I will show you the graphics because I'll lag because of the recording and with this, but when all the graphics are on and not recording, I get semi-smooth frames, semi-smooth. But the only reason why it would lag is all GPU. It's not physics, it's not logic, it's not scripting, it's not poor anything on my part. It's just my bad GPU. And then I'll talk about the future advances on my binder last. That'll be at the end of the video. But I will let's get to the game, guys. Okay. So now here's one thing you guys probably noticed. Holy crap, this weapon looks very different. How in the world did you do that? Well, this is a complete redesign for the pulsar, which is the hand pulsar, which has been renamed the Pulsar. Don't worry about that. I'm not going to tell you anything really about that at all. All I'm going to say is that is for the update for this month that I'm trying to do. And really for next month, because I'm going to have to take a month extra month to do this because of school. But pretty much, this will be talked about when I do an update video about it. Just to let you guys know, it's the weapon inception update. I've kind of started this, so if things are a little messy, that is why. I'm in the middle of an update, and you're seeing how things look when I'm in the middle of updating everything. Now, before I actually go in to show you everything, one thing I'd like to point out is that the arms are not animated purposely. I'm working on that on the weapon inception update. I purposely didn't touch this because the arms are a lot more complicated. Because the legs, the legs, the head, and the body obviously do not hold weapons. They obviously don't. Arms do, and that's what makes them a lot more special and complicated. So, yeah, that's one thing I would like you guys to overlook a bit. But for the rest of the body, everything else is animated. So, if you see, guys, everything has been re-rigged. So if I just go in here and I show you, look how clean this rig is. Look at this. Look at that. It naturally bends. It naturally extends. And all the bones, everything here, pull target, IK, inverse kinematics, all those things are really sharp. They're really sharp. And if you don't know what that means, don't worry. Don't worry. You don't need to. Just note that pretty much it allows... pretty much the inverse kinematics here are working really well. The same with the arms. If I were to just move them just a little bit. So just trying to select the bone. There we go. Okay. So if I were to show you guys really quickly, the arm control bone here, you see everything moves very naturally, and all that. I'm not gonna really move that because I was doing that to test the hand rig with the gun. Again, I won't really go into the depth with that, but yeah, that is something I've been working on. And here, it bends. Pretty much, these are all I'm showing you guys here is the fact that all of this stuff was to make better animations. All of this. So, as you can see, everything looks pretty fluid. So if I just go ahead and go in, because that's one thing I did want to show you. Actually, there's one last thing I want to show you guys before I get in. And I apologize if you don't understand all this coding stuff. I just want to show you guys how much work, and I would like everyone to compare the logic. Please look at the previous video logic for the player for this movement object here. Now look at it now, everyone. This is everything. This is everything. And this is all isn't unnecessary. This is all to initiate all the script movements and all that. But the player used to be so big that completely zoomed out like this, it wouldn't be able to show them all. That is how ridiculous it is. There is so little logic here, and everything is being really well implemented in the scripts here. Because everything here is running through the .py scripts, player parenting, all of these. Now, I won't really show directly off all the scripts, but the one script I will show off really quickly is the player parenting. Now, this is for the vehicles. If everyone remembers how much vehicle logic there was for the player, it was ridiculous. Completely. And that goes for all the vehicles too. I reduced them all for the vehicles as well. If you guys see, this is the whole script. This is it. That's how tiny I wrote this script and how efficient it is. Pretty much what this does is it checks if you're colliding with a vehicle object. It determines what it is. It runs a function here. I mean, you don't have to understand all of this, but pretty much it runs a function. It tells you what it tells you what the vehicle is, and then when you press E to interact with it, it parents to it. And pretty much this is adaptable to duplicates, and pretty much it's intelligent. It has a very efficient system, pretty much that can work with any vehicles that I add this point on extremely quickly. And that's what I want to talk about. And I'm sorry if that was like a giant nerd talk there, but pretty much I had to explain that because it's very, very good. Now, you guys may notice how everything is moving differently like that. Again, that's all of this interesting stuff that you're seeing right here with the arms. That's all I'm trying to do right now for the weapon inception. So don't really pay attention to this, or to that at least. If I kind of go third person really quickly. Switch cameras really quickly. Okay. So, I'm in the third person. If you guys can see, by moving my camera up and down here, you notice that the head and the arms are moving with it. Therefore, if I were to show you, not in the camera, kind of like this, you can see that it looks very natural. It looks very natural. It looks good. From the 3D viewport, it looks very, very good. Animation wise, there are animations for every single action possible that you can do. Now the first animation I'll show you guys is the idle animation. This is actually an animation that I've never had previously. As you can see, the legs are moving in and out, the head, the body. Again, do not pay attention to the arms, not animated, and that's on purpose. As you guys can see, it looks pretty smooth. Now if I were to walk by pressing W, I think the animation looks very smooth relative to the motion. Now, of course, you may seem we're walking a little slow. I can fix that again. I can always just tweak a bit of how the movement is relative to the animation. I can always do that, but I'm just trying to show you guys what I've got so far. So all WASD movements is working. I think I animated them pretty well. I think it looks pretty seamless. Reverse animation walking back. I think the reverse looks really good. It loops really nicely. And also too, I have a jump animation, a landing animation, jump, land, the leg snap back to its right position. I have a crouch. Now the head in that, I can fix this. I just would like to let you guys know though that, again, this is one of the few little bugs that I will be fixing. This is just, this is the first iteration of this, so of course there is bound to be bugs here. And again, the only reason why it's doing that is because of the mouse movement I have, looking up and down. But as you can see, I have the crawling animation for all keys. WASD, crouching, left, right, reverse, and forward. Let me just take a look really quickly in my binder. Okay, good. Okay, so the next thing I kind of want to talk to you guys about is the wall running animation, which looks really, really good. And also, I forgot to show you the sprinting animation here. Now, one thing before I do show you guys all the other animations, one thing I would like to point out, I disabled peeking because I ran into a few interesting issues. I'm going to fix it. I'll put it back in the game. It's just that I had to disable it at the moment. So once we get in, once I get that in, I'll show you guys again what that will look like once I fix the problems I ran into. But to wall sprint, we hold shift and jump to a wall. And as you can see, his legs are clinging to the wall, jump. Again, I can make things look a little bit more seamless, specifically with the wall after the jump. Again, that stuff like that could use better tweaking. Let me jump. And jump. Bam. So you guys can see, actually, I think it looks pretty good. Ledge climbing is the next thing I want to show you guys. I don't want to go in there. I don't want to show you guys the water animations yet. I'm going to show it to you. If you notice too, the water's moving very slightly. I can increase that to make it look a lot more violent and like a faster current kind of. But I'll show you guys that in a little bit. I'm going to go over here really quickly, and I'm going to climb this little area. The red lines, by the way, everyone, symbolizes it's a climbable area for this character. So if I jump, you notice the body drops down. If I press space, it won't climb. If I press W, it won't climb. If I press W and space, he climbs. Again, arms aren't animated. I will do that soon, but just for right now it isn't. So if I just keep climbing, the head may wonk out a little bit like that. Don't worry, there are a few bugs in this. I would like to point out. I can fix them pretty easily. It's just that I'm just working on quite a few stuff at the moment, and because also school got in the way, a few things like that. But you guys can see things are pretty responsive, and I think the animation actually looks pretty good for the first iteration. And also too, I completely redid the ledge climbing, so things work a whole lot better than I ever used to. I believe this is climbable as well. I made this a climbable surface. Bam. Like that. So, actually, it's getting kind of dark. Let me restart the game really quickly and get back in. Nice and bright. Okay. So, the next thing that I gotta show you guys that I think you'll have a lot of fun watching, and this is going to show off a little bit of the graphics, because the water graphics have changed, okay? They have changed. I will go ahead and jump into the water. If you notice, we float at arm's length. And if we were to press W, we swim. Now the head may be off sometimes. I'm gonna fix that. Don't worry. I have a brand new system that I'm gonna implement to fix that. But as you guys can see, there is a body animation when you're swimming forward. When you're swimming back or reverse, he kind of kicks his legs out like that, kind of desperately trying to move back. To go to the right, D, leg animations. I can make things, again, the animations can be tweaked to look better, but the fact that they're just in right now is what kind of counts for me at this update. There will be another update to tweak everything and make everything really perfect, but as you guys can see, you know, we're not perfect level yet. And let's go ahead and dive into the water by hitting shift. And everyone prepare. This is the graphics that I was talking about. One of the graphics parts. So let's hit shift and look. If you guys notice, not only is everything waving with the old filter, everything is also blurred. If you guys can see the top of the water, past that, and right now I'm ascending, that's the ascending animation. It's all blurred at the top, as you can see. This is also an underwater kind of vision to make things look blurry, far out, distant, and things like that. If I were to kind of turn over here, you can kind of see how blurred things really look in the background. But if I were just to show you the contrast, once we do this cool little animation to swim up, look how clear everything looks. And again, there is a bit of lag, but I think it's pretty good. The fact that I'm actually recording, I'm getting pretty smooth frames. That's really good. I have done some optimization this update as well. I have done some things that I believe putting everything in the scripts have made the game far smoother than it's ever been. But there are no different underwater swimming animations, but you can see the animations better, kind of, underwater. They look a lot more fluid when you're kind of here. Don't worry, the head may be off a little bit in the wrong position a bit, but don't worry, those are things that I have to tweak. Swim back up. Okay. Bam. Nice. So I showed you guys already the animations. I think now it's time to show you the other scripting thing that I did, which was the player parenting. Player parenting is very intelligent and it's very seamless now, and it's a lot less laggy, I find, now, which is actually very interesting, because I find that before it was very laggy, now it isn't, kinda. So if I were to hit E, it will work. Now, this may not seem very, This may not seem very impressive, because it's exactly the same thing. But here's the interesting thing about this. Once I create the structure point to spawn multiple vehicles, especially duplicates, this is when the script is going to shine. Because this is actively reading this object, understanding its name, taking that game object, and then actively parenting to it completely seamlessly. And it's adaptable. And that's the big thing. That is the reason why this is a very big improvement. Let me push this back a bit. Come on. Hold down there. Hold down. Huh, good physics. Good physics. Let me flip it. F. There we go. Also too, let me just go ahead and jump in the water. Just to show you guys from a first person point of view. Go down in the water. As you guys can see, This is what it actually looks like from a first-person view underwater now. I think it looks pretty good. The reason why I am lagging quite a lot in here, though, is because of the recording. I do lag still without recording, but it's a lot more bearable. Again, I will do some optimizations with it. But that is something I did want to point out. But yes, everything is working a lot, really well. It's working really, really well. Also, just to show you, actually, this would be a good idea to show you guys how the depth really looks. Because this is a pretty vibrant object. If I just kind of back, you can see that my legs kind of kicking back. Look how blurred that looks. That just shows you the level of blurring that happens. If you're seeing the screen flash like that, that's because of the head movement. Again, things like that I will tweak and fix. Let's go down a little bit because I'm kind of naturally floating up a bit. But if you can see, the further we go, the more blurred it looks. That's a really nice looking blur. And there's a little bit of, what's the word? There's a little bit of chromatic aberration. And what that is it kind of modulates the RGB. So if you notice, you see a lot of red in certain places, you see a lot of green, you see blue, definitely. Kind of haloed around, kind of like pentagonal a little bit. And that's what kind of chromatic aberration does. It kind of modulates and distorts the colors around it and kind of gives you a really interesting look effect. One game, to give you guys a good idea of what that is, that did that, is the PT Silent Hill demo. If you actually looked at that, the lamps, everything, that modulation of color of the edges around objects, that's kind of what that pretty much is. And I managed to get that to work in Blender, which I think makes the game look a lot more realistic. Now, I've showed you guys, and again, I'm looking at my binder again. I showed you guys kind of the scripting aspect of everything, pretty much. Now, the big one, okay, guys, it is time to show off the graphics, okay? So, let's get out and let me enable them. So, let me select this really quickly. Okay, so the first things I'm going to show you all are two scripts. One of them is a improved script, one of them is brand new. Here is an improved script, the Bloom script. This script now has no longer a block glow, like that block voxel kind of glow. You guys know what I'm talking about. The glow that had a bloom effect that looked as if it was a box around things, and it made it look very sharp. I did like that, I did. But I changed it a bit, and it looks smooth, and it looks very appealing to your eye. It feels softer on your eyes. And you'll see that. But that's not the big thing. That's not close to the big thing. We have a crap ton of scripts to go through. This is the monochromatic depth blur. I already told you guys what chromatic aberration is. What this is it's monochromatic aberration with a large scaled blur. What does this mean? This means on your first person view, or any camera of course, the farther objects are, the more blurred they will look at a gigantic rate. So meaning, if something is extremely far, it will look blurred, and it really makes the world look warmer, believe it or not. It gives it a feeling that the world is not so sharp to your eye, and it's a lot more realistic, because with a human eye, when we look very far, things eventually get blurry and they don't look crystal clear sharp. If we go in, I think we already noticed, the background or the farthest point of the world is blurred. You see that nice contrast between things. Beyond that, and you know what, let me go to my first person view. There's no need to be into third anymore. I already showed you guys the animations. Bam. Okay. If you guys notice, and as you can see the glow, the nice glow on the model here, and how it looks a little bit different. But if you see, the world looks blurred, yet the things close to us look sharp. And this kind of contrast makes the world look a lot cleaner. I feel like it looks a lot more realistic, it looks cleaner. And now, it may look a little voxel to you guys, but I feel like it's smoothed out a bit. If I look kind of back here a bit, I feel like I can't help feeling that it looks smoother. To me at least, I don't know, I might be just crazy, I don't know. But it looks a little bit smoother. It looks less harder than it used to around the edges. If I show you that, see that, how the green, that kind of tower over there is a little bit blurred, and you get that interesting sharpness in the front tower, but the kind of in the back of it, it looks kind of blurred a bit. If I just sprint really quickly over here, these actually got a slight color change a little bit. But if you take a look, the glow looks a little hard. I mean, it might need some more work again. It might need a little bit more work. But the point is that I did tweak the glow, and I feel like it looks a little bit nicer than it used to. But that's just me. I don't know. If it looks like nothing changed, then that's fine too. But I just felt like it looked a little different to me. And as you can see, the depth blur in the background of the world. Now, that's just baby steps, okay? That's the baby steps. It is time to go over this. And I have to give credit to the Tempster and Martin Uptis for pretty much creating the add-on that allowed me to get this level of graphics. So if I go into here really quickly and start reading out stuff, let me connect that really quickly and explain each one. FXAA. People, you guys may have heard that. You guys may have heard of that. What FXAA, if I'm correct, it's I forgot what the X means, but it's fast anti-aliasing. Fast something anti-aliasing. Hold on one second. Let me look up the script. Right here. FXAA. High performance. Well, I guess it doesn't say what X means. But all I do know is that's fast anti-aliasing. And what anti-aliasing does is it takes away the edges of the world. I think you guys have actually seen this a lot in my game. If you guys notice, certain times when you're looking far in the distance, and it's super far, the objects tend to have a, it looks like it's threading at the edge. It's got like this skipping of in and out hard edges that looks really weird and it looks glitchy and looks pretty bad. But with this, it smooths out. It actively searches out edges of all objects in the scene, and it smooths them. That is what anti-aliasing does. Retinex. What Retinex does is, and allow me to pull that up too. Retinex. Bam. Now, if I'm correct, Retinex actually makes things either brighter or darker. Now, for some reason, this doesn't actually affect things like that. It just seems to affect the brightness of the world, which is a little interesting. Again, I would like, hopefully, to get this to work a little bit better, where when you're in a darker place, the world gets darker, and when you're outside in a brighter place, the world looks extra bright, and things like that. And I think you guys have seen that a lot with Unreal Engine, how darker places, darker, it looks even darker, brighter, it looks even brighter. SSAO, I think we all know what that means. Subsurface, is that subsurface smoothing ambient occlusion, or I know AO stands for ambient occlusion. I'm sorry, this may seem pretty bad, but just trying to make sure that you guys at least know what I'm talking about here. I believe it is subsurface smoothing ambient occlusion or something around that. Let me know if I am wrong for those who do know it. I'm sorry that I kind of forgot that one. Vignette. All Vignette does is it adds dark edges to the screen. I'm pretty sure you guys have all seen this and at least know what it is. If you ever use photo filters, you know exactly what this is. Chromatic aberration, we know what that is. However, this works a little bit different. What it does is this works a little bit differently because it only works at the edges of the screen, kind of like a vignette. So things that are kind of at the corner, your peripherals, kind of the color modulates a bit, and it looks a little bit more realistic and looks kind of nice. DOF, depth of field, very nice. We're gonna play around with this one, but hold on a second because this one kind of needs tweaking. Bloom X. Now this is one I've kind of disabled. I felt like I made the world too bright, so this one we're not gonna really talk about. But depth of field will enable, and I'll show you why it looks awesome. It looks great, and I want to use it, but I'll also show you why I don't want to use it because of the glitch it has. But let me go and get in. Gotta drink something real quickly. Okay, guys, let's get into it. Okay, so by now, just looking at this, I think we all know the world looks a little different. It looks a lot sharper. So if we start looking at stuff, I feel as if the world looks far better. Now you can see the ambient occlusion, the shadows between a lot of things. You can see a bit of a contrast, how things look a little bit darker and things look a little bit lighter. Again, I can increase certain effects to make things seem a little bit darker. Again, tweaking like that, you guys will see, but I feel like the world looks a lot, it looks smoother. Can everyone agree with that? Does this look a lot smoother? It looks almost like it's kind of like Play-Doh. For me, at least in my eyes, like it looks a lot smoother. It looks so smooth. And if we take a look at the light, we get a really nice look. If we kind of look at the edges a little bit, you kind of see how at the corner of the screen, the left corner, if you notice, it's very slightly chromatic modulation kind of there, or aberration, whatever you want to say it. It's very, I made it purposely very slight because I didn't want it to be overpowering. You can really see it with the glowing object, how on the right there, the top right screen, you can see how the colors are a little bit distorted, especially with that purple one. It's really obvious with that. So if I look at it, and then look with it at the edge, you can really see it's being kind of affected greatly. Same with the yellow, same with the blue over there. But I think this world looks really nice. I think it's looking really good. I think the game has never looked this good. In my opinion, it's really looked nice. And if we kind of go and jump into the water, bam, go underwater, we could really see how the world looks. And it looks really nice. It looks really, really nice. Climb on up, or I guess swim up. And I feel like, and you also too, you can see the moon too. The moon looks really nice now at night with all these filters on. And I feel like the game is looking a lot less vanilla, and it's looking a lot more kind of put together just visually now. Again, I would like to point out, these frames are relatively stable for having an awful GPU and for recording. Because if I was playing minimum, I feel like I'd be lagging far worse. I'd be lagging a lot worse. Let me get up here. No, I do lag a little bit more when I am in the water with that filter, but when I'm just kind of out here on the filters alone, I'm not actually lagging as much. But as you guys can see, I was with hard work this month, and I hope you guys kind of did enjoy this. This is the player movement update. I did some graphics improvements, did quite a lot of stuff. I feel like things look really nice now. I really want to hear you guys' opinion. Does the game look better to you? Does it look better? Or does it look worse? Let me know. Please let me know. And let me get in here. You guys can see it looks really nice. It actually looks like the rendering that I did with that night scene and the concept update in the video. I don't know if you guys remember that or have seen it, but I pretty much did a concept update video, and there's one where it's at night, and I feel like this looks pretty identical kind of to how it looked in a pre-rendering, and I feel like that's really awesome. But I'll see you guys. Actually, wait, there's one thing I want to show you guys, one last thing I kind of want to tell you guys about, and that is kind of the future advances and the future concepts to be added. Okay. So the future advances is this, guys, and I just have very few. Again, this can increase. So future advances, blending animations, what means is that when I switch, say, to walking forward to walking left, it doesn't snap there. There's a smoothing animation to kind of move to left, then do the animation. So that's a big advancement. Ledge climb blending, that is to make it a bit smoother. Again, the same thing with blending animations. Better swim animations to make things again look better and smoother. Gradual movement. Now that's a big one. Gradual movement so that you're not automatically walking at your top speed. There's kind of a slow increase, kind of like how the vehicles, how you start at 0 miles per hour and then you slowly go higher and higher and higher. That's kind of how I want to do it with the player movement. So That is something to look out for. What does this say? Hold on 1 second. Another thing is that the player track camera. I did get that to work, but I do need to improve that because as you guys saw, let me get in the game and show you guys what I'm talking about. Let me go from here. If you guys can see where I'm in and I press C and I'm looking around, the head kind of tracks, but it's tracking kind of wrong. So things like that, bugs like that, and future advances I need to fix. And then varied animation and like kind of like procedural animation with some other stuff. Maybe kind of find my way to implement that with a lot of stuff. But that's kind of like the big future advances I wanted. Again, the reason why there's no things about the arms is because that was purposely not put in this on purpose. Because I just didn't want to have to deal with weapons and player movement because that just would have been too much. That's why I'm doing that in this update. But I hope you guys really enjoyed this. Again, things can be tweaked. You guys already saw some bugs. Things need to be tweaked. But this is what I have so far. And I think Project Frontiers has come a long way. And it's honestly needed this update. And the fact that everything's through code, I feel like everything's running a whole lot smoother now. And I think things are just looking a whole lot better. But guys, please give me your thoughts on everything. Oh, and one last thing. I just realized something. I forgot to do depth of field. Now, to do this correctly, I have to make the gun go invisible. And this is one of the big reasons why I was saying this is going to be tough to implement. But put that to invisible. And now if we start, you'll just see the arms kind of at the bottom. But if I just take a look at this with the depth of field, take a look. Oh, you know what? I know why. I switched something. Okay, hold on, guys. Bear with me really quickly. D-O-F. I apologize for this, guys. I just have to do this to show you guys this. Put this to false. I was doing some testing. That is why. Okay, now let's go. Okay, here we go. So, now you notice we are lagging quite a lot, and that is the big downside of depth of field. At least with my GPU. And if you guys look, when we're looking at this, everything around it is completely blurred. However, directly what we're looking at is very clear. And I think we all understand what depth of field is, but as you can see, I want to eventually implement this because it makes the world look a whole lot nicer. And it really makes, just makes things feel a lot cleaner. But that is the depth of field. It works very nice. It works very, very nice. You know, look at this. You see how it looks kind of blurred a bit. My hand's kind of in the camera. It looks blurred. Looking at that kind of blurs the background and the foreground. You know, same thing with this. But yeah, that's how that script works. Eventually, I'd like to get it to really work so that I can implement it and have it as like a permanent script in the game. But right now, it's kind of in a testing phase. But that is everything. I apologize if this was long. I had explained things. I hope I explained them well. If you have any questions, tell me in the comment section. And I'll see you guys in the next Project Frontier update. That will be the weapon inception update. And that will be a fun update because that's when combat is going to finally get it's going to get its dues finally. It's really going to get where it needs to go. And I'll see you guys till then. And don't forget to be a hero. Bye, guys.